Joining us now here at the table, Roger Aronoff, who's with the Citizens Commission on National Security. It's good to have you here. This is your microphone. I'll let you hold that right there. Roger, tell me a little bit about what brings you to CPAC. What are you here to do?
Well, I've been coming for over 20 years, but this year I'm coming as the executive director and the editor of the Citizens Commission on National Security, which grew out of the Citizens Commission on Benghazi. It's a group of retired generals, admirals, former CIA people, former congressmen. We have Alan West, Claire Lopez, Tom McInerney, until recently the great loss of Ace Lyons. So he was with us, and what we do is we look at issues like Benghazi. We just had a major event this week called the U.S.-Israeli Alliance and its national strategic implications. And we had a number of top-notch people speaking and talking about everything from the threat from Iran to the peace plan that's being talked about. Did you want to?
Well, yes, what is your background?
My background is as a journalist, a documentary filmmaker. I've produced and directed 6 films. As a matter of fact, I used to produce a show for Judicial Watch. They had a show called Public Disclosure. They and Free Congress Foundation produced it together, and each month, each of them would give me a project, a topic, and we would do like a 60 minutes piece on it.
Right.
And then they went to a live show, and I produced and directed that, and so I've had a long history
with them,
with Judicial Watch.
You, like me, have a great appreciation for what it is they do.
Absolutely. Oh, I love what they do, and I praise them. I praise them during this other thing because we also do FOIA, but not to the extent that they do, and they are the primo people doing it. They have uncovered so many great things with their FOIAs, and Tom is great, and I've worked with Tom and Chris for years, and they're wonderful people. And when we did Benghazi, we worked closely with them as well. And
I want to talk briefly, if I could, about Benghazi,
sure,
because there are many people who are listening to this broadcast right now who are of the opinion, that, as I am, that we still don't know everything we need to know about that very sordid affair at Benghazi. Where are we? What is it that we still need to try to learn about that experience?
Well, I will say that I think we did the most comprehensive and clear narrative on really what the scandals were. And we kind of divided into 4 parts. The first part is, why did we go into Libya in the first place? And once we started the Citizens Commission, people started coming forward to us. In particular, a man named Admiral Chuck Kubik, who had been in the Second Gulf War. He stayed behind to build bridges and do work in Libya. And the Libyan top military people came to him shortly before the bombing started and said, we would like to negotiate an abdication for Colonel Gaddafi under a white flag of truce. Kubik delivered that message to AFRICOM in Stuttgart, and it came back to the Pentagon, the White House. They said no. So we went in and took it out. And what people don't realize that happened there is that we started supplying or allowing the arms to flow to Al-Qaeda. That's what Chris Stevens was doing initially. He was the envoy to the Al-Qaeda people. This is hard to buy, but it happened, and it's documented. We've done this. And then you have the next thing where Hillary, and they acknowledge that there were 600 requests for beefed up security and 100 of them about Benghazi. She claims she never saw any of them. And then the day of, you have the attacks going on. And why didn't we send military in to try to...
that never got answered.
Yeah, they never got answered. And so one of our people is Tom McInerney, who led the attacks into Libya in 1986. And he points out, with the bases at Sigonella, Aviano, even if we didn't have any warnings, which we did of that day, we could have had planes there in 2 hours, buzzing over the CIA annex. We probably couldn't have saved Stevens and Smith at the Special Mission Compound. but definitely could have saved the people at the CIA annex. And that's a tragedy. And then the media went along because it was 2 months before a presidential election, and to protect Obama and Hillary, they let it slide.
Tell me, as you look at the world today, a very dangerous place in many parts of the world. We still have grave threats to the United States and our national security. What are the areas that concern you the most right now?
Look, I think Iran is the biggest threat. I think we all have to recognize that. And one of the things I've written about extensively and pointed out that very few people have is that the so-called Iran nuke deal was never signed. There was nothing that was ever signed. And Mike Pompeo at the time was with the House Intelligence Committee, and he pressed the State Department, I want to see the signed agreement. And they delayed, and finally they gave him a letter, November 19th, 2015, that said, you're right, this is not a signed agreement, it's not even an executive agreement, it's just a series of political commitments. So Pompeo put up on his website immediately, it was bad enough already, the enforcement. Now with this, it's really nothing more than a press release, basically. And so by pulling out of this thing, Trump was just recognizing the reality of it and trying to get the other countries to go along with the boycott. So you have that. Look, China is a growing threat, and we need to be very concerned what they're doing in the South China Sea. And
I noticed that the other day, Madeleine Albright, former Secretary of State, offered a formal apology to Mitt Romney because it was Mitt Romney who in 2012 during the campaign said that our greatest national threat was Russia, and he was mocked for it.
Right.
Now, Madeleine Albright says, we were wrong and you were right.
Right.
Pretty a stunning admission by Madeleine Albright.
That is stunning admission. Normally they don't admit, when they were caught like that.
North Korea, the discussions, some people have said they collapsed. I think they came to an abrupt close because the president saw that there was just no way to get a deal.
Right.
He was willing to walk away from a bad deal and have no deal, which a lot of people were surprised at. Any thoughts about that?
Well, he's being mocked for that, of course. He came away with nothing and he invests. But, that's an important thing to have in your quiver, is to be able to walk away, because it's clear. I think it's not realistic to think that North Korea is really going to get rid of its nukes. I mean, I'd like to think they will down the line, and they buy this argument that they can become a prosperous democracy or whatever, but I'm not very optimistic that it's going to happen during Trump's tenure, that they will actually get rid of the nukes that they have in their whole program.
Roger Aronoff is our guest with the Citizens Commission on National Security. We're sitting here at a booth that is sponsored by the folks at Judicial Watch. Tell me why you think what they do is important.
Judicial Watch is just one of the most important organizations in this country, and have been for many years, because they dig in to the government secrets. They get these secrets exposed. I remember during the whole Clinton scandals, they are the ones that got Stephanopoulos and Carville and Begala to all do these videotape depositions that were just rich, a mind full of just incredible information that really helped expose the real corruption of the Clinton administration at that time. All the credit in the world to Tom, Chris Farrell, the folks at Judicial Watch. They do a remarkable job, and I have been a huge fan for many years.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here at our little broadcast booth. And you had another thought?
Just wanted to say to come to visit our website at CC, that's for Citizens Commission, ccnationalsecurity.org. And next week we're going to have video up of this conference we held this week about the U.S.-Israeli relationship, the alliance, and the national security implications. It was a great event. So, Brian, thank you so much.
And please pass on my good wishes to my old friend Tom McInerney. Would you please?
Sure will.
Tell him that I said hello.
Sure will.
He's a good friend and a good man.
Great.
A patriot, no doubt.